Welcome to 32 and 32, where we count.
Anyway, that's beside the point. At the end of the day, it's a business.
If you're the Rams, you are officially coming off the absolute worst performance in the Super Bowl ever. I think Robert Kraft is peas in someone else's pod.
I mean, y'all Super Bowl wins are so old. I mean, the rings are probably to dust right now. So,
Not about the Eagles today. We're talking about the Bears.
Yeah. So, as usual, let's take a look first at their free agent signings. Thanks for watching, folks. That is today's analysis of the Minnesota Vikings. Hello, hi, welcome. We're back. This is episode number 2 and 32 and 32. We'll recover each and every NFL team in 32 days, all leading up to the NFL season. Today's team is the Atlanta Falcons of the NFC South Division, a main rival of our favorite team. Anyway, okay, Atlanta. 1 year after making the playoffs as a wild card, took a step back. They finished 7-9, I believe.
Well, we're looking at a team that was plagued by injuries.
Yeah.
If you look at the injuries, if this team wasn't so injured, you're looking at probably a playoff team from last season.
It was interesting with the NFC South division is, obviously the New Orleans represented it again. However, Atlanta and Carolina, two teams that both made the playoffs last year, took a step back. Atlanta was really busy also in both the draft and free agency. However, as I'm about to bring up, you should be able to see that there is kind of a pattern is in a clear focus for Atlanta. Free agency, Kenjon Barner, running back. Jamon Brown, offensive guard. James Carpenter, offensive guard. Adrian Claiborne, defensive end. Tyler Davison, defensive tackle. Justin Hardy, wide receiver. Grady Jarrett, defensive tackle. So what do you notice about that?
Well, they got some help on the offensive line. They had some depth. They also added some depth to their defensive line as well. That's kind of something that Atlanta's been kind of big on the past couple seasons is the play of their defensive line.
There you go. Their offensive line and their defensive line. Their offensive line has not been that great as of late, and the defensive line has taken a big step backwards ever since their Super Bowl.
Well, they're trying to add help to give help as far as to Vic Beasley, who's on who plays defensive end, and also because last year they drafted Tack McKinley from UCLA. They're just trying to add as far as more beef as far as on the inside. I think it was a really big big help getting Tyler Davison, who was a decent contributor for the Saints, and also getting Grady Jarrett. So they're trying to provide a lot more pressure as far as on the inside.
And the Justin Hardy signing kind of is a little interesting to me because they already have obviously Calvin Ridley.
And they also have Mohamed Sanu and Julio Jones.
So you're adding a fourth receiver?
I guess Atlanta's trying to expand their offense.
Because Justin Hardy is a pretty decent receiver.
He is, but like I said, I feel that Coach Quinn is trying to do some expansion amongst their offense, which it could probably do. For the Falcons, it could probably do them, as far as due diligence.
And, but why wide receiver? That's what I don't get, because their passing game's just fine.
Matt Ryan is, he can, you don't need a running game to help Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is going to put up numbers every game. As much as I don't care for the Falcons, I will give credit where credit's due. Matt Ryan is a beast at quarterback.
Yeah, it was interesting. They just lost in free agency Tevin Coleman. So let's go back to that. Who's the running back? Okay.
Kenjon Barner. And I haven't seen a whole lot of them, but it is good to always add depth to your backfield, especially with Devontae Freeman. He was on the IR for most of last season, and there's no telling his production level going into next season. So it's good to have Kenjon Barner back there because, say, if something happens to Devontae Freeman, God forbid, I don't like seeing players get hurt. This is, how they put food on the table. But it'll be good to have somebody like Kenjon Barner. Haven't seen much of him since his Oregon days.
All right, so let's take a look real quick at Atlanta's draft. And again, you should see the same pattern in the draft. Christopher Landstrom, guard, Caleb McGarry, tackle, Kendall Sherfield, cornerback, John Kaminsky, defensive end, Kadre Ollison.
We're gonna go with that.
We'll go with that. Running back, Jordan Miller, cornerback, and then Marcus Green. Another wide receiver. Okay, whatever. But again, defensive line and offensive line, you got some backfield here as well and some help in the secondary, but still more focus on the lines.
And I feel that with Atlanta, I feel that with their with the amount of injuries they suffered last season and with the lack of depth that they had, as far as production level was concerned, I feel that that was what they were focused on, just to add more depth into their positions. And I feel that Atlanta is going to find a lot more success.
So what are you thinking for the Atlanta Falcons this year?
I think Atlanta could be a playoff team next season. To be honest, I think their ceiling, I'd say their ceiling would probably be 11-5. Their floor would be, I would say, 7-9 or 6-10. That would be their floor.
So do you think they're going to – I guess it really depends on Carolina. I don't see New Orleans surrendering the South.
New Orleans is not going to surrender. I mean, whenever we cover the Saints, then we'll provide more information on that.
Right.
But I do see Atlanta early on in the season competing for the NFC South.
But, we're probably talking a wild card team?
Yeah, probably wild card.
Yeah, and Dan Quinn's a good coach. You have to give credit where credit is due.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
So they took a step back, but, I mean, they're still a very solid team. I think their biggest thing is really the secondary and both sides of the line.
But, I mean, like I said, what killed Atlanta last season was injuries. I mean, and they lost a lot of key players. I mean, they had lost Deion Jones. They had lost, I want to say, Ricardo Allen and Keanu Neal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they did.
They had lost 2 guards on their offensive line. I mean, you're looking at a team that was plagued on both sides of the ball, and it really affected them because you had a lot of fresh guys getting just thrown into, getting thrown to the pack of wolves. So I feel that when these players come back from injury and then you add in depth, as far as quality is concerned, we can see some success out of the Falcons next season.
Okay. So we're keeping these pretty short and simple. That wraps up our little brief rundown of the Atlanta Falcons, their free agent signings, their draft, and kind of what our thoughts are on the team. Thank you for watching this episode 2 of 30 and 32, or 32 and 32. This has been an AI Sports Network production. See you next time.